Okay, we've picked this up with the tin already done. Remember that one thing you got to be very aware of is not drafting in, knowing whether you're drafting in 2D and 3D. We'll talk about the next steps. You've already seen the importance of drawing constraints. Constraints are things that you're going to either avoid horizontally or vertically, things that you want to be perpendicular, etc. And so understand that if you've got your survey lines in there or your topo lines, you're going to probably want to go perpendicular into them. But if they're in 3D, you're going to have a bit of an issue. So I'm going to go ahead, for instance, I drew this long line here. I'm going to go ahead now and switch to my proposed alignment layer, proposed alignment P, again, proposed alignment base. And I'm going to go ahead and first start with the concept of we're going to do a lot of drafting by, lost my tool space there, so tool space. Did that bring it back? Does not, so we'll have to see how we can get our tool space back. There it is. Click it back, in and out. There it is. There it came back. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and let you to be aware that I'm going to do a line from here perp 2, and then realize it's going in the wrong direction. So I'm going to left click in the middle space bar, rotate 180. When you do a polyline edit, it will take the direction from the first line. And all I'm going to do now is I'm going to draft some other lines without the snaps on, because so it doesn't jump between. I'm going to jump from here to there. I'm going to jump from here to there. And I'm having you do it basically from there, and I'm going to go perp to if the line is 2D. And now I've basically fillet radius 0. I have drafted my horizontal alignment in the correct direction. With the concept, I would say start thinking of these as pipes. Don't do your curves that you've learned with Greg for now. You let the program fill that in. You want to get the concepts of PIs, points of intersection, so you can learn to write station equations and adjust your curves without going into a dizzy. So I'm now going to polyline edit. This is from last semester. Yes, join. There's going to be a lot of different ways to make alignments. You're going to see you're going to have a lot of alignments, but the one thing to remember on your main alignments is they should never begin at 0 for a stationing. So we've got an alignment in there. The next step is to go to alignment, create alignment from objects, select your object. It shows you the way to go. Enter to accept. You should have drafted it in the right direction the first time. Once again, you're going to give it a name, 4606 underscore mark underscore drive underline center line. Beginning at some set of stations, we'll divide them up around the classroom so you don't overlook it. We're not putting a site, using a site as well is kind of a nice thing to do, but for now, we're just looking at the alignment, so we're looking at the corridor. There are going to be times that you're going to need to have a corridor tied to a site and sometimes not. So in this case, the corridor is the driving thing. The site is not designed yet. You're looking at the styles that you've got, alignment proposed. You've got a lot of styles there, all laid out by the DOT. I'm going to put these in at 150 minor. I'm not going to add curves between the radius, and I'm going to erase the existing entities. All of this is not of great import to start, except for the fact that you began correctly in the correct direction and that you were perpendicular and constrained as you want. Once you have that alignment in, you can then later on, once you click on it, you start to see how to use the ribbon. You click on your alignment, and you can go here and your design editor, etc. All right. We'll go in later and change, but right now we're going to go with just a straight shot, PIs, no curves. You've made an alignment. I think that takes you through last semester. All right, we're going to go now to the next thing to do is to now sample the surface underneath, make an existing profile. You've done quick profiles in the past. That's how you checked your surfaces. You're going to create a surface profile. You're creating a surface profile for that road. You're going to grab however many surfaces you have. You may have underlying clay, you might have rock, you might have other design surfaces, but we're just going to basically I'm going to grab the surface, I am going to click on that and say add. I'm sorry. So you click on the surface, you hit add, you go through, it's sampling. Do not immediately hit draw in profile view, but write down what you are beginning at. You're beginning at station 10 plus 00. This becomes really important. You hit OK. You get some sort of feedback from AutoCAD. It should be good. Now you've made the profile. The next thing is to make the profile view. This is one of the non-negotiables. You're going to do the profile view. Where are you going to put it? Well, there it all comes out there. You're going to give it a name. Profile view, I guess, parent alignment, 50 minor, station range, you know. Think about this. Don't just click. I'm going to go 1040. So I'm beginning my profile at station 1000 and 1040. There'll be lots of other things you can click here, and we'll play around with these, but you want to write down and don't use automatic. Think about 1040 and 1000 for the station. You're going to create your profile view, and you're going to key in your profile view origin of 1000 times comma 1040 O. In other words, you're going to multiply your Y by 10. Later on, you'll see you could just move that over and make it 10200, and everything is going to be correct. We'll see why, but right now you hit that. You got to trust that it went in there before you start jumping around looking. You go minus V for view, W for window, profile, overall, plan. Give it a window here. You've now made a view there. You now go to Z for zoom, center, and you know where to go, 1000, 1040, 0. With a height of 100, you jump there and you check now. And what you see is you're going to check. Because you see the data did not find where I wanted to go because I ran off of my tin. But you're going to check by doing an ID, the intersection there. You're off by 200, so you need to move that. So you're going to go ahead and, I don't know how you know how to move this from some point at minus 200, 0. And then you go in and check. ID, the end of that. That all looks good. The next thing we're going to do finally now is actually create profile creation tools. I would be writing these things down. What is your starting and ending station, and putting in a direct grade. We have to remember that one of our constraints as a rule is to be coming up into the intersection. So the last 200 and the first 200 feet should be a 2% grade coming into that intersection unless there is a super or some other thing involved. We're going to create a profile creation tools. We're going to click on that. You create, there's the profile. We're going to see it's got a name, proposed, and we're hit OK here. And now we got a set of tools, and we can now just draw from a PI. And you got to be really aware of turning off and getting the direct thing that you want. But I'm going to go from the endpoint there, and then a new one at the very end. At the endpoint there. It made now an alignment, and you're going to start to see that one of these alignments, if we click on that, should be turn on quick properties. That should be an existing profile, existing, and the other one, I'm going to erase these things out because those usually don't go there, and even these don't go there for existing. You have an existing and proposed. I'm looking at now coming on to 10 minutes. You've got now an existing and proposed. The next step is to make sure you set a view. Minus V for view, W for window, overall, underscore profile. There's going to be a lot of different profiles in your drawing. You may give them names there. First corner from here to here, you now have two views. You're going to go zoom center, 0, 0. The height of 100, and you're down at the 0, 0 point. This is where you bring in your assembly. Same thing. Bring in your assembly. Basic assembly someplace. You're going to stick it location for assembly 0, 20 typically for the first one. You now have an assembly in there. Now you are set to do all your design. We're coming on to, that was 25 minutes. We're all the way ready to pretty much finish our project. Zoom, again, undo here. You want to set a view for there. Minus V for view, W for window. We're going to call this cross section. _1. You now have views there. Why all the view stuff? So you can go V for view, go to overall plan, set current, jump to there. You are now, it is now possible to make a corridor. You're going to make a corridor. You're going to create a simple corridor. You can kind of take what it gives you for now, I guess. Hit OK. I don't like you selecting. I'd rather have you hit a space bar and grab the name that you've put in correctly. You want to make sure that you grab the correct one. One was X topo, one is the one you just did. That's a typical mistake students will make. And finally, basic assembly. Hit there. These targets will be incredibly important. You're used to them outside, I think, when you did these widenings and the like. The big one we really need to do is get the direct surface. So we're going to grab that we're targeting the X topo. Hit OK. Almost running out of my 15 minutes. You got a lot of problems outside, typically depending on your surface. I've got a big cuts in this thing just to hit OK. You can see that's all good. You now have a proposed surface done. Next step now is to actually go to that surface. Once again, we're going to be doing a lot of things with this, but you're going to go to the corridor properties. So you've clicked on the surface. You're going to go and click on generate a surface for each link. That's going to be important later, even though it generates a lot of surfaces. You hit OK. It's going to make a lot of surfaces, one for every little sub piece, and that is where you see that. All right, so the only one we really want is the top. The difference now to Trimble becomes clear as you've got lots of different surfaces. You're keeping track of money from estimating and quantities, and not just the top, but in this case we're going to add later a boundary. We're going to add a boundary, but we're going to hit OK here. Now we have a surface. We can go over here to Toolbox Settings, Prospector. We want to get back to those settings and get them kind of pushed back down. Right? We want to go to Prospector. We now should have another surface in there. So notice there we now have a surface. That's a corridor surface. We want to go to here, and we're going to right-click and change the surface properties to something you can see. Marsh triangles works for me. At this point in time, there's probably a bit of an error, it looks like, and I'm going to stop it right there. Thanks for listening.